Welcome to the fire. Tonight's story was sent to us by someone who wished to remain anonymous. They asked that we share it exactly as they wrote it. It begins like this. The night guard at the school.
It's gone.
This happened to me back in 1997 when I was working as a night security guard at an old public high school just outside the city. It was summer break. The classrooms were empty, and most of the lights were kept off to save power. The place always felt strange after dark. Too quiet, too wide. My shift started at 10 and ended at 6. I had a small office beside the cafeteria where the CCTV monitors were. The system was old, with flickering gray screens and grain lines that never stayed still. The radio on my belt worked most nights, though sometimes I'd hear faint voices through static from the other end of the campus. There was another guard on duty that night, but he was stationed at the front entrance. The school grounds were wide, with parking lots and fields between us. His post was almost 2 blocks away from the main building. So even though we shared the same radio channel, it felt like we were working in 2 different worlds. If something happened inside, he wouldn't hear it unless I called for help. The janitors usually left around 11. Once they were gone, it was just me. The rain had started early that night. Steady, soft, but loud enough to echo through the metal roof. I didn't mind the rain. It masked the small noises buildings make when they settle. The only part of the school I didn't like was the West Wing. It was built in the 1900s, long before the rest of the campus. The floors were wood instead of tile, and the hallway lights buzzed like dying bees. Most guards didn't walk that way unless they had to. I thought it was just nerves, until that night, around midnight, I did my usual round. Every classroom door was locked. The library lights were out. I passed the gym, and the air smelled like dust and rubber. When I got to the West Wing, I saw one door open halfway, room 2A. That room was supposed to be closed for years. The sign on the door said storage. I called on the radio, asking if the janitors had gone back for something, but no one answered. Just static. I stepped inside with my flashlight. The air felt colder. I could smell old wood and damp chalk. There were stacked desks, boxes, a teacher's table covered with plastic. Everything was still, except for a slow creak from the back of the room, like someone shifting their weight. I aimed the flashlight toward the noise. Nothing there. I walked deeper, my boots soft on the wooden floor. When I turned to leave, the door was swinging slightly even though no wind was coming through. I closed it and left. Back at the monitors, I watched that hallway. The screen showed the empty door. After a minute, I saw movement. A small figure standing just outside room 2A. I thought it was the camera glitching, but when the lights flickered, the figure was still there. It looked like a student, short, wearing what seemed like a uniform. The head was tilted forward, hair hanging down. I leaned closer to the screen, trying to see the face, but the picture turned to static. I grabbed grabbed my radio and called again. "Front gate. Come in." No response. Just a soft hiss that grew louder until it cracked like whispering. I dropped the radio and picked it up again, but it went quiet. I don't want to sound like a snitch, but the guard at the front gate had a habit of dozing off during his shift. Sometimes I'd even wander off to the small store across the road without telling anyone. It was not my business to report him, and most nights it didn't matter. But sitting there with the radio dead silent, I wished he was actually at his post for once. I switched to the camera view for the next haul, and the figure was gone. I told myself it was lighting, or maybe an old recording glitch. But then I saw the door to room 2A slowly close by itself. I took my flashlight and went back. The hallway felt longer than before. The lights above me blinked once, and the buzzing grew louder. When I reached the door, it was shut tight. I tried the knob. It was ice cold. I knocked once. The sound echoed through the room like it was empty. Then I heard a faint voice on the other side, just a few words. Soft and dry, like a girl saying please. I stepped back. I didn't open it. I went straight to the security room. I didn't sit. I just stood and stared at the monitors. I tried calling on the radio again, but it was only static. I checked the channel, tapped the side, even switched the frequency, but nothing changed. A second later, the power light blinked once and went out completely. It was strange, because I had just put in freshly charged batteries before the shift. The radio had never done that before. A few minutes later, I saw something wet on the floor by the West Hall camera. Small footprints. They appeared one by one, leading toward room 2A. Then they stopped. My heart was pounding. I watched as the classroom door opened again. The light inside flickered, and for half a second, I saw someone standing there, hair down, soaked uniform, head bent like she'd just climbed out of water. The picture glitched and froze. I ran down there again. I don't know why. Maybe I didn't want to believe it. When I turned the corner, the hallway was empty. The footprints were gone. The door to 2A was open, but the room was dark. I shined the flashlight inside. The desks were arranged in perfect rows now. I could see writing on the blackboard. The chalk was still falling as if someone had just finished. The word said, "Stay out." The radio on my belt turned on by itself. A burst of static filled the hall. Under it, I heard a soft sound breathing, then a laugh. High, quiet, and wrong. I turned to leave, and standing by the stairwell was the same girl I saw on the screen. Her skin was pale gray, her hair dripping like she'd been in rain. Her uniform was torn at the shoulder. She took one step toward me, leaving a wet mark on the floor. I froze. I couldn't move. She raised her head, and I saw her eyes black, hollow, not shining, just empty. When she opened her mouth, water spilled out, trickling down her chin. Then everything was a blur. I didn't remember walking back. I just found myself shaking. The next thing I remembered was hearing another voice, but it wasn't from the radio. The guard from the front gate was standing in front of me, shaking my shoulder. He told me he found me sitting on the floor, staring blankly at nothing, still holding the flashlight. He said he'd been calling me for a while because he heard shouting on the radio, like I was yelling for help. When I didn't respond, he came inside to check. He said he found me a few steps away from room 2A, pale and shaking. The radio still clipped to my belt and working normally like nothing had happened to it. At 6, when the head guard came, I gave him the keys and said I quit. He looked at me and the other guard, who is now preparing to leave. Then he asked me, "Did you see her?" I didn't answer. He nodded anyway and said he had heard stories about a girl people sometimes saw in the West Wing. He said she walks the halls when it rains. That was the last night I ever worked there. Later that morning, while I was signing the last page of the logbook, he said something I still remember. During your interview, I asked if you get scared easy or believe in things like that. Then he smiled a little and said, "Anyone can be a guard, but not everyone can be the night guard at the school."
Thanks for keeping me company tonight. The story sounds better, whispered by the fire, don't they? Until we meet again. This is
Whispers of the Scribe.
If you enjoyed tonight's story and would like to keep the fire burning, please support me by buying me a coffee. Every cup fuels me to keep whispering here by the fire. If you have a story of your own, something you've never told, something that still follows you at night, send it to me at whispersofthescribe@gmail.com. Maybe one day
We'll whisper it here by the fire.